I'm Dan Forbes with Tandem Care Associates, located in Acton, Mass.
I'm Emily Tumeric with Tandem Care Associates, and we're here to bring you Cooking Up Flavor. Are you bored in the kitchen? Have you run out of ideas to put together healthy meals for you and your family? Cooking Up Flavor is a show dedicated to the joy of cooking through sharing of a wide variety of recipes. Each meal is going to be simple to create with one particular health benefiting ingredient, which will be highlighted. Dan, my co-host, and myself will be here to bring you on this culinary journey. So for all you foodies and Epicurean magnets out there, we are going to hope to delight your palate as we travel near and far to learn to combine a plethora of ingredients to create a savory meal while having fun.
So today we're going to cook, we're starting off with a paleo shepherd's pie, and we've done a couple things different than a normal shepherd's pie. One is that we're going to use cauliflower instead of potatoes to make it lower in carbs, and we have some spices that we're going to put in that are a little unique that Emily will talk to you a little bit about. So typically the longest part of this is the cauliflower, so we're going to start with putting the cauliflower in the boiling water. So we're starting off with the paleo shepherd's pie, and I'm going to dice up some of the ingredients to throw in the skillet, and Emily can talk to you a little bit about the spices that we're going to be using for the dish.
And so we're super jazzed about bringing you the shepherd's pie that we have. First of all, because as Dan said, we are trying to embrace a paleo method. And so what really, we hear about this paleo diet. So the whole tenet of the paleo diet is to really embrace using less carbs, focusing on protein and carbs, which are much healthier for you. So hence, instead of your simple potato, our cauliflower, which is boiling away. And the other ingredients that we want to highlight with our meal are the major health benefiting one that we're going to discuss is turmeric. And turmeric, which has kind of a pungent taste to it, originated in India over 2,500 years ago. And it's a super cool spice. It's very fragrant. It's used frequently in Indian cooking and has anti-inflammatory properties, which are shown to be linked with many diseases, such as Alzheimer's disease, various forms of cancer, even Parkinson's disease. So what we found, what research has shown too with turmeric, which we are going to be using, is that if you use the black pepper with it, it can really enhance the efficacy of the turmeric, and it makes it more bioavailable for the body to absorb. So as Dan is taking it away, sauteing some of our vegetables.
Yeah, so we want to saute the vegetables until they get a little bit soft. The onions a little translucent. So we're going to start with the carrots and onions and garlic, and when this is sauteed, we're going to add the beef and then the spices that were shown there.
And so we've put a little bit of olive oil in the pan, and we're going to start getting the veggies ready. And other ingredients that we're going to be using for, of course, we have, in addition to the black pepper, we have our salt here, and we have oregano that we're going to be adding to create, our goal is to not only bring meals that are healthier for you, but being able to explore using different spices and what it's like to work with them. So in addition to that, we have ginger and I believe it's paprika that we have here that we're going to be adding, and garlic powder, which we have placed here. So we are going to toss in those veggies now. And it's good to let the oil heat for a bit prior to putting them in, so you kind of hear that sizzle as it goes in. We're going to do it just for about a few minutes as our cauliflower cooks away there.
You want to throw some salt and pepper in?
And we're going to get our salt here. We're going to take a pinch and just sprinkle the salt. Okay, that should be good.
So the cauliflower typically takes about 10 minutes So we'll check it in a little bit.
I'm gonna open up some of our other stuff. We're gonna be adding some tomato paste to this as well. And you know, we always hear about tomatoes and the benefits of tomato, and tomato is very high in lycopene, which is very important and healthy for the body and in fighting free radical damage. And turmeric has a great amount of properties as well, in addition to the tomato. So we're gonna add any other spices, Dan?
We'll add the beef next. We'll throw the beef in, and then we'll start adding the spices once this is mixed in.
So we have, I believe it's 1.5 pounds of ground beef that we have. And you know, it depends upon what folks like to use. There's bison meat that you can use for this, which is often lower in fat that some people like to use. You can also
use turkey.
You could use ground turkey for folks that don't like to have just particular meat dishes. So you can kind of change it up and see what might be a good fit. I mean, you can kind of take a couple of different kinds of meat too and put them together. I've seen even ground chicken with this before. I think you just have to be careful that you don't overcook the chicken so it becomes a little bit dry.
Right. So you can add those whenever you want.
We're gonna add our turmeric. And again, it just has that, it has that wonderful, almost like a pungent smell, you know,
And color.
and it has a rich color. So you can even add turmeric to dishes you wouldn't normally think of. Egg salad. Who doesn't like egg salad? And you throw a little turmeric in it, and it gives it that really vibrant, rich hue. So in that goes. And then we have our
Garlic powder.
garlic powder, which we're gonna put in. And paprika. I'll add that. There we go. Smells good, guys. Just get a little, oops, man overboard. There we go. Okay, and we have, I believe it's curry,
Yep.
and
Is it turmeric? Did we already use that?
we use the turmeric. So we're gonna add, maybe there'd be a little more in there. Oh my gosh, that smells amazing. Yes. Did we put our pepper in? Did you put a little more?
Yep.
Maybe. Just gonna dust it with. And again, the black pepper, which we're putting in, is a great enhancer of the turmeric that we added. It increases its bioavailability. So let's just toss a little bit more in there.
The other thing is too, when you add spices as you're cooking, it actually amplifies the flavor, the spice itself.
I'm gonna put a little bit of oregano. And what's really fun too is, although we are long overdue with our spring season, that you wanna call it spring, but homegrown herbs, you know, a lot of places will have greenhouses and you can grow your own herbs. There's nothing like taking them and drying them and using them fresh like that. Of course, for ease. This. We're gonna add, and I'm adding a little bit of oregano. And again, a lot of this is to taste. It depends. Some folks like a little more, some like a little less. But as you can see, we're coming along. And we just want to be careful not to overcook it, because after this, it's going to go in the oven and it's going to bake for a bit as well. So you just want it to be just cooked through, and remove it from the heat as soon as possible. So again, it just doesn't become dry.
We can add the tomato sauce.
And then we've got our tomato paste here, which is approximately 1 small can.
Couple ounces, yeah.
Which we're going to add. There we go. And I'm just going to put a pinch more of salt here. And again, it's to taste. So that'll be just done. I think what I'm going to do too is we're going to test the
Cauliflower
and see how we are progressing with that. So let's see. I'm going to bring this over. See how we're doing. And again, we don't want to, we want it soft enough so when we mash it, there we go. Oops. There we go. Trying to grab one of these. Okay, and you want it to basically, there we go. So I would say maybe another minute or two. Again, you can tell it's pretty soft at this point. So another minute, we'll have that. How's our meat coming along?
It's coming along well. You see how it's changing colors because of all the spices?
And as you can see from the texture of it, it's still very moist, which is how we're trying to keep that, because again, once it goes in the oven, it's going to tend to dry a little bit, so you want to continue with that. And you can get pretty clever. Sometimes you can throw a little bit of soy sauce in there, a touch of Worcestershire sauce, or a nice red pepper hot sauce too. I found an amazing one the other day in the grocery store, and it was a red pepper duo sauce, I believe, and they had this really tasty, there was cumin in it, vinegar, and it was this awesome blend. And I've been kind of shaking it on eggs, and so that would be something I would just toss a little bit of that right in there. And again, there's a lot of ways to flavor without adding necessarily salt. Use salt, but you always want to make sure to system of checks and balances. So got another minute with that. Again, fresh herbs, you can kind of season it to what you desire. Another great seasoning and herb for meat dishes is thyme, and there's nothing like fresh thyme in season. You take it, you can buy it like that, or you dry it out on your own, and you add it. It's, again, thyme, great flavor enhancer for meats, and when you really want that savory flavor.
Yep. And it doesn't have any calories.
And no calories. And thyme also has a lot of health benefits that we'll be sharing at another time.
So this looks like it's approaching being done, so I think I'm just going to shut this off and let this sit on the burner.
Okay. And I think what we'll do, the cauliflower is steaming away, so we're gonna turn that off. And then we are going to drain this.
So we've drained the cauliflower, and now Emily's going to add some butter and some cream cheese, a couple ounces of each, so it's not completely fat-free.
The fun stuff. This is where the fun begins. Okay, we didn't say the entire thing would be incredibly healthy, some of it. So we've got our cream cheese and our butter, and so what we're going to do is add, and again, it's taste and what some folks want it a little bit more rich with butter.
Yeah, we want a little bit creamy consistency because the cauliflower is sort of bland. So we're gonna, between the cream cheese and the butter and a little salt and pepper, that will help give it some flavor.
Are going to add a half a stick of butter. And again, if you want to be a little bit of an alternative to butter too, would be to add in coconut oil. And coconut oil, it's a solid, and once you add it to something, it liquefies. Coconut oil is fabulous for all kinds of different things. You can cook eggs with it, you can use it in baking recipes, and in something like this, coconut oil would be quite tasty. And we have our cream cheese. Who doesn't like cream cheese, huh, Dan? If we can get it open. So we're working on that. And we are going to add about a quarter of a package of cream cheese. Again, it's by taste, and
we want it to have the consistency of a mashed potato.
And so here I am making all kinds of messes in the kitchen, and we're gonna put a good size dollop, as you can see, of our cream cheese. It's going in, and this is even more of a fun part where we get to really get our hands in here and we mash it up. So, mashing away. And again, as Dan said, we want to have that creamy mashed potato like consistency. So when your children are asking you what this is, they won't even know the difference that they're eating cauliflower. Because if you tell them it's cauliflower,
Doomed for failure.
they probably will not want to have this. Shepherd's pie with cauliflower, you think one of those warm comfort foods, and cauliflower just doesn't equate necessarily with that warm comfort food the way that
Right.
a mashed potato would. So if you look at this, it does resemble a nice creamy potato. And we are going to add just a pinch of salt. We just need just a pinch because, of course, there's salt in the butter and in the cream cheese.
So as that's getting done, the next step is to put the filling, start with the filling.
Look at that. And you don't really need the electric mixer, hand mixer to do this. You could use it, but it's not necessary because it doesn't have to be ultra fine consistency.
Or a ricer.
Or a ricer is a great idea too. So once we have our cauliflower mashed up, we're gonna grab a spatula and get that
Here, one of my-
into, maybe you hold and
Yeah, perfect.
I'll dole it out. So there we have it. And just try and spread it as evenly as you can on the top. And it does look like potato.
It does.
And so here we have our cauliflower. And we're gonna go over the top. And there we go. Kind of get it evenly into the corners.
Looking good.
Right. And almost there. Spread that into the edges.
So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to brush it with a little egg wash. And we've got the oven preheated at 325.
There we go. All ready for that wash. I'll give it a nice little glaze to it. It'll brown up in the oven.
This is also something with the size of this dish, especially for a family of two or one, there's plenty to freeze.
It makes great leftovers too. You know how some things you don't want to have the next day or the day after? This actually tastes even better. And you can just heat it up, whether it's stovetop or in the microwave. It makes very nice leftovers. And you can even throw a little bit of herbs, fresh herbs ground up on the top. So we're going to take a little bit more of our oregano, put a little bit of that on the top and just a touch of pepper. Top that off. There we go.
So our shepherd pie is heating up in the oven, and our next recipe is a watermelon and feta with watercress salad. And the first ingredient that we're going to do is we're going to start chopping the watermelon into bite-sized pieces.
We've got our watermelon we're using, and that is our ingredient that we're going to highlight is watermelon. And watermelon is very, very rich in lycopene, which we talked about when we were talking about the tomatoes earlier. And again, it has very high components of your lycopene, which is very healthy for you. And interestingly enough, watermelon it's a fruit as well as a vegetable because it comes from the squash and pumpkin family, but it also a sweet seed producing plant, and so it can be both. And interestingly enough, they find that watermelon is actually really healthy for helping to reduce pain. So a lot of times it can help with back pain, different kinds of muscle pain, because it inhibits an enzyme that is involved with the process of pain within the body. So again, that whole inflammation piece, and who doesn't love watermelon? So we're kind of putting a jump on summer because we're really tired of this cold of New England that's gone. 20 degrees.
Wishful thinking.
The end of March, Dan, 20 degrees. I was walking my dog this morning and I was horrified. I wanted to just get back to bed. So hence watermelon. It's the fruit, I believe, for the month of July. And so we are, again, kickstarting our summer and our spring here. So in goes our watermelon.
You tell me when.
And we are going to put approximately 2 cups of chopped up watermelon. And again, you can dice it and make it as large or as small pieces as you would like.
Is that enough? We want more.
And so we can put a little bit more. We'll be a little generous with our watermelon portion.
And the next ingredient we're going to do is we're going to thinly slice some red onion just to give it definitely a contrasting flavor to the sweetness.
And while Dan is slicing up our red onion, we are going to add some extra virgin olive oil here with some aged balsamic vinegar. And it's approximately a quarter of a cup of olive oil, which we're going to add there, which is fairly generous. And we're going to add our balsamic vinegar. If I can get this cover, let me just give it a little.
Got it?
Yeah, let me get that off. So we've got our vinegar, and it's approximately 2 tablespoons we're going to add. And again, it can be as generous, that's about 1 tablespoon, and 2. Be as generous as you'd like. And we're going to add a little bit of salt, a couple of pinches of salt in there. And we've got our pepper. I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. And then we are going to whisk this together. And variations too of this vinaigrette, you can add a little bit of raspberry infused
Mustard.
vinegar. Put a little mustard. You can use dry mustard powder or just regular mustard. The other thing is fun to do in the summer is to add fresh juice. So fresh squeezed orange juice in here, or a little bit of lemon. You can try raspberries. So we have our vinaigrette, which we've whisked, which it's kind of nice to put this in the fridge and let it get a little bit cool to temp. And
the next ingredient also too, we're going to finish it off with mint. Is that right?
Gonna wait, we can drizzle that on in the end, and then we are going to chop up our mint. In the meantime, we are going to add our feta cheese. Now, if you're like me and cheese is your go-to snack, you may be a little bit more generous with your cheese here. So put approximately a half a cup to 2/3 of a cup of your feta, and then Dan is putting on our mint, our fresh mint. And then as we do that, we're ready for our finishing touches of our vinaigrette. And I have to do this to see. There we go. I think that's where we need it to be. And again, you want to make it a little on the sweeter side, add a little bit of fresh squeezed juice, add a little bit of raspberry infused vinegar, kind of adds a nice touch.
That looks like a picnic dish.
And we are going to drizzle that on. And then we take our salad tongs and we are going to give this a little stir. We're going to use our, which I have here, I'm going to use, if I can figure out how to, Dan, you're going to help me out? There we go.
Looks good.
There we have it. I'm going to give that a little toss.
Look like tomatoes at first sight.
And then, we used a mixed medley of greens for our salad. Just another man overboard. And so we have that nice blend of a spring mix, which has all our different kinds of green, and sometimes the leaves themselves can be a little bit on the bitter side.
Yep.
So having the sweetness of the watermelon adds just a nice touch, and then you have the saltiness of the feta. So you have a nice juxtaposition of flavors going on here. So there we have it, our watermelon mixed green salad. And I'm ready to take a fork and plate. How about you, Dan? I'm getting pretty hungry.
So our shepherd pie is ready. Once again, we made a paleo shepherd's pie with cauliflower topping and a watermelon and feta salad. We think they go good together.
It's a nice pairing. You've got, different textures, different flavors. We've got the turmeric flavor enhanced here with the pepper. Again, we have a more paleo approach, a little less carbs. And so we're gonna put these, we're gonna start to serve our salad. Just give it another little toss. And Dan's gonna work on our nice piece of our shepherd's pie. We'll put that for you.
Country style.
There we go. Get a little more watermelon. Again, nice pairing of colors. When you have a dinner party and you want to be able to kind of display a nice medley of colors, add a little bit of, garnish on the edge of your plates, and I think we are ready to dig in.
If anybody would like to see more about the recipe or see the recipe again or see a preview of the show, we're going to have that on our website. It's www.tandemcareassociates.com, and we look forward to doing this again. We'll see you in the near future.
I'm looking forward to it. And again, that's www.tandemcareassociates.com. We'll see you soon.